The two checks to me were reimbursement for office supplies for her binder and for the luncheon. Jan Dooley's reimbursement was for the gift certificate to Tammy. And that's about it. Same old, same old. Any questions on the general checking account?
I need to look at my list.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, I know, it's not about this, it's about mine, it's not about this.
Okay.
Are there any questions? Any questions on the,
That's mine.
That's
Jim.
That's Jim's.
You need initial, mine.
Oh, we're supposed to initial.
Mine has to be initial.
okay, any other questions on the general checking account? Hearing none, is there a, we need a motion?
No, I'll do roads.
Okay, you'll do the roads.
Okay, restricted funds,
Which is on the back of that.
we have a balance of $5,147.03, and we haven't spent any money on anything in the restricted funds.
Okay. Get back and look at it, sign it. Okay, all right, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, I'm writing something to do. All right. So this is the general. You don't need to go by it. Acknowledge, even after.
The bills are inside the whole.
In case you have a question. Is Farmers Market pretty steady in what it gives us?
No, it fluctuates. I never know for sure. I mean, it fluctuates within probably $200.
And it's a percentage of the bills that they pay. So these are good with me. So Joy needs to look at. Well, we need to look at. Jim's, I think. So, this is Jim's water report, that's what we looked at, and the sewer report before we're ready for the water and sewer.
No, I need a motion to approve the village financials.
Oh, we did that.
No, we
No.
So the general,
And
and restricted funds, the ones that are on this sheet.
I make a motion to approve the and
the
the
financial report.
financial.
Right. So we have a motion to approve it.
I second it.
Lori seconds the motion to approve the financial report. Any discussion? Any roll call?
No, not
Those in
that.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. The financial report's approved. So now water and sewer.
No, not yet. Now you go back to your agenda, and you're on the water project. Okay, that's enough for the financial report is just mine. We don't do
Thanks.
Jim's until we get down to the.
Okay, follow the agenda.
Yeah, follow the agenda.
I have a report. We had easements that were required in the village, and there ended up being 9 of them. And 8 of them, I accepted responsibility to carry around and ask people for the easements, and all 9 of them approved without asking, without, requiring any financial consideration or whatever. So I think that's really a compliment to the people who want the water project and are willing to forego and offer up their property and accept the inconvenience it's going to be and not ask for any reimbursement. Those are now in the hands of the Davies 2. They have to be recorded. Also, there's one other one that the Davies 2 lawyer, Ralph Gaw, is researching. Is communicating with the person. It's somewhat out of town and it's a lender. And I just expected, since they're not local, they're going to ask questions I don't know, so they might as well talk to the lawyer to start with. And I don't know the status of that. When the Davies 2 meeting was held a week ago Monday, that's when Ralph said he would take that one, and I said I was finished ours up. So that's the easement report. No money, and we got it.
Great.
I got an email today from Tara, who's the attorney from Trenton that has been advising us on the water project. She was here early on. We haven't paid her for last year's bills, $3,864.24. I told her that I would bring it up tonight, but I think we have to wait for the USDA.
Until they release those funds.
Right, and so I explained to her that I think they can't do that till the bids, but I'll get it on our radar screen. So if you'd make note of it too, so we don't, Natalie isn't here, so we just don't lose that in the mix.
Right.
I think we were happy with the work that she did and glad, she was very attentive and responsible, and she'd worked with those kind of contracts before, and so I think that was good. We just need to pay our bills, but when we get the grant money, we'll do that.
No, it's USDA.
Yeah. Okay, any questions about that water project discussion? Yes,
I have
Mary?
one question. Okay, so the easements we talked about, but I just got thinking in my mind, so then like say bringing it on out west to Heppley's and beyond there, where's that gonna be? Is that,
It'll be in the road or ditches, it'll be,
it will be in the road ditches with the other?
I mean,
There was no-
they didn't ask us for an easement for it, so that's
Okay,
why.
I just got thinking.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that, all right.
yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I think, the town, the village voted some time ago to turn over the easements, the alleys and the streets to
Right, I
them for
remember
this
that.
project. And so, but since that's a blacktop, I don't know if that's really a town street, not really, because it goes west.
State highway.
Yeah. So, good question, I'll mark that down, thank you.
Because the water does run on our property now at this point.
Well,
I
it
think
needs to
that-
run on your property to get to your house, and so you've already eased that. I mean, you've already given permission to
But
do
they aren't
that.
using that old water system, so, right?
Right, the new meters will be located as close to your existing meter
Right.
as
I'm
possible.
just wondering how they're gonna get the water up there. I hadn't thought of that before, but then I didn't know about the easements when we first were talking about it anyway, and I didn't know if that might just be something they'd bring up later, like how do you get the water out that road, so.
Right, and we don't want that delay, so I appreciate you bringing that up, and I will get that in the mix sooner, but I'm not waiting for another meeting, I'll bring that up now so we can.
Thank you.
If there's an issue, we need to get it
You don't
resolved.
have
Her meter is about 10 foot from her house,
Okay?
so it's way up on,
But we aren't talking about
So it's
meters.
really, I misunderstood that, it's really how to get the water out to her house, and to Heffley's house, and to Robin's
down the
house.
ditch,
Okay, okay.
You don't drink sewer water, huh? Okay.
And if the water is gonna come down the street, right?
Where it needs to, that's where it is now, it's in the streets.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that means they're gonna dig up our roads and refinish them again?
Yeah.
Re-gravel them again?
The requirement is, anytime they dig, is to return it to the condition it was in before. And it's, I don't know, but my speculation is it's gonna take some bird dogging of that, and Jim is one of our bird dogs who's going to help us with that. And the construction company will be here for several weeks, and so as they dig up and don't do it, then,
Well, I don't want this to be a conflict of interest, but on Chestnut, if they return it to the condition it's in. that's
Right.
the
The same or better, shall we say.
place. Do you think it will solve that water problem, Jim?
they,
The
a lot,
water runs down the highway, down
Yeah.
Chestnut, across the highway, and washes out the road every time. You get a big rain.
we worked on those tubes a while ago. We've allotted a lot of gravel for replacement on the streets, and that's one of the issues that will have to be looked at and see what else can be done with it.
Is
But
that
there isn't a
before or
lot
after?
after the project. There's no sense in spending a lot of money on the streets at this moment when we're going to tear it all up. That's fiscally not prudent, considering our funds are so limited.
unless there's a road they're not going down, like Maple.
If it's
Or the school
and
buses
if
run
it's
all the time.
if it's a real issue, that's one thing, but to go and do what we normally do at the end of the,
Before the picnic.
yeah, would be always about $4,000, because we're going to be removing all of that. Unless it's better we keep that money, that we can use it to work on Chestnut and the tubes, the issues down there, which we look at every year.
And can we get some resolution of what the issue is? Do we keep doing the same thing, thinking it's gonna fix it, and then it doesn't
No.
fix it? No, we're doing different
The
things.
water runs right down the middle of the street,
Chestnut.
yeah,
It crosses the blacktop.
yeah, and washes it out.
Okay, because there's not a tube under the,
Yeah, there's a tube. on
Because
it.
it's downhill.
It just runs.
the
there's
tube
a lot
can't
of-
contain it, the tube isn't big enough
Well,
to handle the
it
volume.
needs to be ditched up north
Okay,
of Second Street.
okay. We can do that with that gravel at this point. I mean, if the ditch needs to be deeper so it doesn't go as fast, is that what you're saying? The ditch work north of the blacktop
Well,
on
it needs
Chestnut?
to be ditched, it isn't ditched. The water's running down the street instead of ditching.
Okay, and so that's, the ditches are town property.
Well, the tubes that go under the highway would be the state's property.
Right, but now we're talking about ditches though first. I mean, that's what you brought up about the ditches. But that's something that we don't need approval from anyone to do. We probably need to inform the people so they know what the heck's going on in their yard, you know, which is a courtesy thing to do. But we have there's no one holding us back from doing that. And you think that would at least then get it toward the tube in the ditch that goes under the road, that's the highway's responsibility, and give them the,
Well, it does go,
The ditch.
it does go under the highway.
The water
When it
does?
rains. It
Yeah,
does
it's
go.
eroding that one section
does
of
go.
it on the,
Okay.
east side of the road. It has eroded that one section over there.
It just needs, put some, a new tube up there at the north end.
so by Aletha South?
No,
House.
My house.
that'd be,
Natalie, I mean, Michael and Cal are in between those, under that street.
might be both sides, I don't know.
Oh, both sides, okay,
Might be at Lucas.
right. But if it goes on the west side of Chestnut and goes down the ditch past the Christian church, there's not a tube under the highway on that
We
side.
dug out that one section by the church, remember? When we had AOA come over, we took and dug out that one section, and we worked on clearing out that tube. But I don't know that that had much of an impact, but we did clear those tubes out there right by the church. We went under both of those.
Well, maybe at the next meeting, we can come back with a plan, unless it gets fixed in the meantime, to, you know, how much is that gonna cost, and are we willing to allocate money for that, and what's the best timing to do that?
Maybe
Yeah,
that would
we
be nice
started
and
to do
fix
that
it.
street.
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's a possibility.
but we did clear that one section there. We cleaned out there, so there's two tubes, I think, we cleaned out. Right in front of the church there, and then I don't think we went down and we cleared out a tube on the, they ditched on the east side too. We went over there on the east side and ditched, but it's not solving that problem where it's eroding under the.
Okay, thank you. So the water report, we looked at the water report. Anything there, Jen, that we need to note especially?
Yeah.
Any hookups or,
Yeah,
okay,
okay, David Elmore,
By the smell.
Don Hoyle, and Drummond's left
oh,
up,
good, okay.
and McKee, I had to.
That was
she
a
moved-
swap, right?
She moved, yeah, from out there,
Okay.
5 hookups or 4 hookups.
we had to,
And so then the disconnect was McKee also,
yeah.
and anybody else disconnect? Okay. Is that in the water report? He just told us it isn't written down, that was, he was responding to your question. Any other questions about the water department or the water report from Jim?
When's the new stuff gonna start? That's what I wanna know.
Well, that water report, I can tell you, is after all the easements are in, the bids are ready to go. The engineers have done the work and they know where it's gonna go and they're ready. So we're just waiting on these easements, and so if I need to get more easements, I'll follow up tomorrow with the lawyer. But I think we're really close.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
It's only been, what, 2 years, 3?
you're telling me. I haven't missed the Davies 2 meeting. Nobody else has 100% attendance except me, including Roxanne.
It's been 6 years
Yeah, okay,
since we started, yeah.
okay.
6 years in June.
All right. Thanks for that correction. All right, do I have a motion to approve the water report?
I make a motion that we approve the water report as we receive it.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Lori. Any
I'll do
discussion
discussion.
of the water report? All those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
Huh?
Ayes have it, motion carries.
Yeah.
The water report's approved. So let's look at the sewer report. the reconciliation summary, the sewer report.
Because they're only past due on sewer.
Jim, we're looking at sewer. Anything that you need to point out to us?
Okay, we had a guy come look at the lift station,
Okay.
and, he's supposed to be back with us.
Next week, he's coming up. They work with Gallatin.
So this is the Kansas City group.
This is the Kansas City group, and they work with Gallatin, so they're timing it so that they're in Gallatin and it doesn't cost us an extra fee. They come up from Gallatin. They're coming into Gallatin on Tuesday, so he said Wednesday or Thursday, he would have somebody come out and evaluate the small lift station, see what needs to be done, and then he will get us an estimate.
So they're staying over 2 nights. Do we have to pay for their lodging?
No.
Instead of mileage?
I imagine they're going
Okay.
back and forth, but they're just
That's a lot of
tagging us
mileage.
onto their trips to Gallatin rather than from Kansas City. So it will be next week when they come out and take a look at
Don't
it.
charge gallon, you know.
Next week, next Tuesday. Okay. And that's the small lift station, so if you're going down toward the river on the gravel road, it's the one on the left-hand side, not the bigger one on the right-hand side. It services 5 residences, and it's pretty small, but it lifts it up then to the 4 residences, okay, because McKee's in there. Okay, any other questions about that? Thanks, Jim, for working on that. Any other questions about the water report itself?
No, we're
The
still on
numbers.
sewer.
I mean, sorry, the sewer
I
numbers
have
itself.
sewer report.
Okay.
Alrighty,
You have something to report on the sewer? Is that what you're
I
saying?
have, that's who the company is. I have a sewer report. As soon as I get my little right hand.
This is from Jason.
Jason sewer report. Jason reported that he wanted to let us know that he will be leaving at the end of the month and won't be doing any more contract operating. He has taken a job in St. Joe and won't have any more time to operate. That would be next Friday. He said he has found a replacement by the name of Steve Henderson in Coffee. He is licensed and trained, and he is willing to take the lagoons. Now, that being said, we really should be posting this position first
Mhm.
before we make any,
Agreed.
okay? So we will need to post the position. It's $250 a month. They have to
You
carry.
put it in the paper.
We'll put it up in the post office, we'll put it in the window.
$250 per month.
And they have to carry a class, what is it, Jan? Is it a C? What's the?
For sewer, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Anyway, I have the paperwork, what DNR requires. They have to be licensed, and carry the proper paperwork for DNR.
Okay.
So the first step we will need to do, I think, is to,
Approve the posting of the
right,
position.
so what I need is a motion to approve putting the ad in the paper and posting the position.
Any discussion before we go for the motion here? Clearly, we need an operator. Okay, is there a motion to approve the posting and the ad for a sewer operator?
I make a motion that we approve the ad and the bill for the paper.
Thank you. Thanks, Alita. Is there a second? Lori seconds. Any discussion? All right. No discussion. Those in favor of the motion to post the ad and buy an ad in the paper, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no? No? The ayes have it.
Okay, now, as to this, I have a follow-up question on this. We have always carried, as far as I know in my tenure, our sewer operator as a part-time employee. There's nothing wrong with that, other than it's monthly paperwork for payroll taxes and all of that. My thought was we should possibly consider, and I don't know that it's still some paperwork, but it's not on a monthly basis, but we should consider possibly hiring as contract labor, as we do with Wally, rather than as another part-time employee. I'm a little torn. Lucille and I have talked about it, and there are pros and cons. I like the idea of not running payroll monthly. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
And we also don't pay the payroll taxes. It becomes the contractor's responsibility. However, there are things that we do have to address if we go with contract labor, they have to qualify as a contract laborer. This has to be something that they do to more, on more than one
So yes.
position and that type of thing, so, I don't know how you feel about it. It was just, it went through my mind of, oh boy, I get to add one more to the payroll roster and another W-2.
So just to refresh how that works in our minds, Jim is a part-time,
We're all part-time.
You're all
Everybody
part-time
in the
employees,
village works
so that-
part-time except Wally. Wally is
Thank-
contract
so
labor.
that's, so the taxes that you talked about, which I wouldn't wanna do it either, but it's already gonna be done for 3 people, and it's a matter of
No,
whether it's
actually, well, technically there was 5 of us, but Henry's gone. It really is just a question of running monthly payroll taxes and the money we pay for the payroll, the employer's portion of the payroll taxes. Is it high? No, it's not so high that it's, worth going the other way. However, I'm really torn. I still do a 1099 at the end of the year for Wally. So if we had contract labor on the sewer as well, it would be a 1099 for that individual also. I guess really the decision is if we want to take on another part-time employee. And if you're good with that,
Well, it's not another one, that's what he is now.
well, Jason is.
Whether we want to
Well,
continue.
in my mind, when I say another, I've got one more name in a file in a drawer and one more sheet of papers that I have to do. So, yeah, you're right, it's just replacing one
Right.
as far as an individual.
So tell me about salary. Contract laborers work on an hourly basis?
No,
Okay.
contract labor, we would offer him a flat that Jason is getting, the 250,
Uh-huh.
but we would not deduct any taxes from it.
But he's required to do that.
Right, that's his responsibility.
It becomes his responsibility as a contract laborer.
We still have to give him a 1099.
We would 1099 him at the end of the year. So, I don't have payroll in front of me. Do you have, the deductions that you do for Jason in front of you or not? I don't, I could,
You're on the papers I give you.
they're on the papers that you gave me.
10294.
One's 15 something.
Yeah, it's not,
Zero.
it isn't steep, don't get me wrong.
So it's a wash as far as any costs involved. The other, the labor that's involved in doing the 1099 or whatever it is. you do
It's
for
just
part-time.
something at the end of the year.
Can I ask
Yeah.
something?
Sure.
Okay,
No,
so,
we don't have Jensen on 10.
okay, so let's say the board hires,
Joe Schmo.
yes, Joe.
Welcome, Joe.
And Joe doesn't work out. Does either one of these, with this contract labor or,
If Joe doesn't work out, it's just, I close him out, I put him on the quarterly report for the last time, and the rest of the year, he's just a person sitting there in the
Okay.
payroll book.
so?
But do we have any employer responsibilities for
Right.
notice and
Right.
cause and
No.
a hearing on neither of those? That's a
Okay.
good question.
Okay.
If we fire him, we have, but if,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, if he doesn't work out, that's when we fire him.
Then
then
what
we,
are?
we have no financial responsibilities. He can come and appeal and say, well,
Okay.
I think I'm doing the job you hired me to do. There's always that. And yes, he could take us, to labor relations, but I can't see that happening for $250 a month.
But
We're
there's,
not gonna have him beating on the door, let's be honest. Yeah.
but there's no difference, you're saying, between whether someone's a part-time employee or a contract laborer employee in that process.
The difference is we do not pay any taxes on him if he's
I'm
contract.
talking about if we fire someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We just terminate. In the contract, there would be a 30-day clause, just as
Right.
there is.
Right.
And we
Okay, good
would
point.
say, okay, I'm
So
sorry you're not working
Two-week
out.
notice type thing.
Jason
If
didn't
he's
give us our
messed up.
30 days. but-
And I think we ought to withhold money from him myself.
Well, that,
No.
technically, and I will contact him tomorrow
that's
and
my
ask
opinion.
him if he
He
is,
knows the rules.
if he is performing any work this coming week. If he is not, then Jim has paid him his last paycheck. If he actually goes to the lagoons and finishes out anything within the next week, then we technically owe him because he gave us a week's notice.
But then we ask for 30 days, isn't that what our ordinance says?
In our ordinances, it does, but we're walking on a real fine line because our ordinances aren't exactly up and running,
I see.
okay? And we don't actually have a paper contract with him, which is something we should do for every employee, and we've tried to do that several times over the last 4 years, but we've never actually, the contracts we have for Jason and for Wally are DNR contracts. But there isn't an actual village contract for any of us, and there should be,
And we've known this for 4 years, and so why haven't we done one?
because there isn't enough time for one person to sit down and write up a contract for each and every one, with the job description and everything that needs to be done. It's a time process, it needs to be done, we've discussed it over and over again, but it's not something we've done yet. So technically, there are no contracts for Jan, myself, Jim. We don't have
Yeah.
job description contracts. We know what they are.
Yeah. I just think it's
But
unfair to
matter of fact, the
employee.
closest we just came was the two that we just did, the maintenance man and mine. And those now would, at least are job descriptions, and then the contract would follow with, I agree, you know, these are my obligations, so. But it is something that does need to be accomplished, and it's
Yeah.
like everything else, it's a time issue.
I understand that. All right, any more discussion on this? Okay, we've been informed, we've been made approval to post this and advertise it and get it
We'll do
going.
that.
The person that was suggested from Coffee perhaps should be sent one, just as a courtesy, or at least a notice that it's there.
I
because we've
think
been-
we can do that,
Okay.
and then we'll do some follow-up on that also.
Okay. All right, any other thing on the sewer report? Okay, so the actual, the financials on sewer report, do any of the board members have questions or comments about those?
Balance. Jim's gonna give his balance.
Okay,
$4,407.37.
and Jim, have we had any connections or disconnections on sewer? So with,
Well, I mean, it goes.
with the water, the
Yeah,
same,
the
so the
water.
same. So when we have hookups, we haven't had any, only the McKee was the only disconnection in water, so from down there. Okay. Anything else we need to know from you?
Mike taking back sharpen the blades for
That's equipment repair.
Good?
but he isn't charged us.
He did.
He said it's going into the city.
So the mower's
Good
been
guy.
repaired?
You see Mike kicking back thanking us for doing this favor to the town, to the village for
What did you donate?
sharpen the mower blades.
Oh,
So,
okay.
which is, you know. Yep.
Okay, which mic?
The old one, the dead.
Oh, my.
The old one.
Straight across the street from you, straight across the street from you, Callie says.
I'm surrounded by them.
I know. You're a lucky person.
They are
We
very-
delineated by calling one Michael and the other Mike, so.
Any questions from the audience about the water or sewer reports? Just get on with it, right? Okay. So we're down to, did you want to talk about equipment repairs? Did you say the mower needed
We're not gonna
something?
do this one.
Well, let's wait.
Okay.
I'll get the figures.
Good. All right, so we're to fundraisers, number 9 on the agenda. You said you'd give us the final report.
I will give you the final report.
Thank you.
All right, our income for the fashion show as of 2014 was $831. Our expenses as of 2013, that's not right, it's 2015, Denise. Wow, where did that go? I do.
Okay.
It was $265 and our net was $566.
And that's what was reflected in the report,
I
right?
think there's a little bit more than